What if the most advanced machines in ancient Egypt weren't gears and pistons, but light, stone, water, and stars engineered into temples? Imagine architects turning cosmic rhythms into schedules and walls into instruments that measure floods, track hours, and stage sound like theater. Before we step inside, quick request. Subscribe now and join this channel's community of history lovers so you never miss the next deep dive. Today we'll separate myth from mechanism, exploring nilometers, water clocks, star alignments, acoustic tricks, and the famous dendera bulb carving. By the end, you'll see why Egyptian temples are less like ruins and more like slow, patient machines still doing their jobs. Let's define technology. It's repeatable method plus calibration, tools, measurements, and procedures that make reality behave on schedule. Surveyors, the rope stretchers, founded a temple with the stretching the cord right, aligning the axis to a star or sunrise so rituals landed exactly on time. Their instruments were simple and exact. Merkit for star transits, sighting palm for angles, and a plumb bob for vertical truth. No gears needed. Karnak's main axis kisses the winter solstice sunrise. Once set, the sun itself checked the work every year, free quality control from the cosmos. Timekeeping powered worship like a clock. Water clocks, clepsydry, dripped hours you could read, with scales adjusted across the seasons for longer winter night. Where water meant life, nilometers carved in rock turned flood height into policy. Tax, ration, repair, administration etched into stairwells. Light and air were engineered into awe. Clear-story windows lifted hot air while narrow slots dropped cool bars of sunlight like cues on a stage. Acoustics made voices bloom. Columns and tight gaps slowed echoes so chants thickened into a soft wall of sound that carried without shouting. About that dendera bulb, the relief shows a lotus birthing a serpent, Harsomptus, inside a sacred oval, held by figures of air and stability. It's theology, not electricity. The real toolkit was copper and sand, saws charged with quartz grit cut stone, dolerite pounders bruised granite, tube drills with abrasive left spiraled cores, fingerprints of method. Moving megaliths was logistics and physics. Sledges on dampened sand, barges on the Nile, earthen ramps, lever teams, and pebble bedding for micro-adjustments. Obelisks distilled it all, quarry, river, ramp, and sand pit raising, until a single needle stood true, its shadow a seasonal clock drawn across the court. Doors the size of elephants pivoted on polished stone sockets greased with fat so one attendant could swing them. Clay seals broke clean to show tampering. Standards made it scale. The royal cubit, palms, and fingers set dimensions. Water-filled hoses leveled distances. The seeked measured slope as run per rise, geometry you could carry. Materials science colored the story. Egyptian blue, first synthetic pigment, glowed on star ceilings. Faience tiles made walls gleam like wet river light. Let's slow down and walk a day in a great temple. Before sunrise, timekeepers climb to the roof. They align a Merkit to a known star, check the night's water clock tally, and hand the schedule to the chief priest. The whole complex wakes like a factory that runs on sky. Inside the inner rooms, attendants wash and dress the cult statue, oil the wood, fasten gold, and wrap linen. The first doorway opens exactly as the horizon brightens, because centuries ago an architect aimed that wall at dawn's runway. The timing is not lucky, it's engineered. In the hypostyle hall, thick shade holds the night while clear-story slats spill thin light on a route laid into the floor. Incense smoke rises, hits the warm beam, and curls, tracing airflow the way a wind tunnel reveals lift. The building is teaching you how it breathes. Outside, drains cut along paving keep dust from turning into slick mud during festival washings. Lion-headed spouts carry storm bursts away from thresholds so feet and wheels don't grind sacred entries down to trip hazard. Design is devotion made practical. A procession forms. Bearers pick up the gilded boat, bark and shrine together, balanced so the weight sits across shoulders evenly. The route is not random. Corners widen where crowds need to swirl, ramps and stairs alternate to avoid bottlenecks, gates align with view shafts so the moment you see the god, the light lifts too. That's choreography. Meanwhile, a crew in the back rooms prepares incense following recipes like mini-engineers' manuals. Grind, soak in wine, heat gently, rest, reheat with honey, add resins in order. Ratios safeguard smell and burn rate the way modern labs protect a formula. The hymn is the SOP. On the docks, deliveries match a calendar grown from the river. When the nilometer rises to plenty, granary officials schedule bigger shipments. When it falls short, they ration temple bread, thin beer, and adjust offerings. A staircase carved into rock is running the economy. If you've heard about mirror relays to light sanctuaries, copper mirrors existed, but each bounce costs brightness and the beam scatters. Lamps and architecture did the heavy lifting, not a secret heliostat system. The truth is less flashy and more reliable. Acoustics deserve another listen. Shrines and halls are stones tuned to human breath. A sistrum's metal rattle carries without stabbing the ear, chants stack into a soft, confident bloom. The sound makes a crowd feel larger and calmer, the same way modern architects tune concert halls. Even the floors speak. Slight slopes carry wash water toward discreet channels. Threshold lips cue you to slow down entering sacred space. Changes of stone underfoot tell your feet you've crossed a boundary. User experience by geology. Festival days scale it all up. Streets become sacred corridors. Barges float between chapels. Side shrines open like valves on a great circuit. When the statue returns, doors boom into place and seals press into clay. The system resets for night the way a lab cleans and locks down. Think of a temple as a stack of operating systems. Astronomy sets the clock, hydraulics set the seasons, logistics feed the staff, materials make it legible, acoustics move hearts, and ritual ties them into meaning. Remove any layer and the whole story stutters. What about the speaking statues of Memnon? At dawn, warmed stone side where cracks let air expand and whistle, an accidental instrument. After repairs, the voice stopped. Physics can be poetic without being magic. Techniques endured across dynasties because apprenticeship was policy. Masters taught rope stretching and seeked math to apprentices as carefully as hymns. Under Greek and later Roman influence, notations changed, but the core methods, plumb, rope, square, held on because they worked. Want a quick decoder for any ancient tech claim? Ask 3 questions. What problem does this solve? Which repeatable method achieves it? Where's the calibration? If those answers are clear, like solstice light checking an axis or a cubit rod enforcing dimensions, you have technology, not a just-so story. Some mysteries remain. How exactly the largest obelisks were stood may never be photographed in a single step-by-step scene. But every surviving hint, sand pits, sockets, plumb checks, points to iterative lifting, not miracle machines. The gaps are about sequence, not about capacity. None of this works without people. Rope-burned hands, steady breath, repetition. The machine is stone-shaped for human rhythm. Blows per minute, steps per day, or strokes against current, songs set to work length. The tech is ergonomic because it had to be. If you manage a modern project, temples feel familiar. You see risk buffers, ramps wider than necessary. You see redundancy, 2 drains where one might clog. You see QA, solstice light and nilometer marks. You see documentation, recipes and cubit rods. Ancient Egypt speaks fluent operations. Read the precinct as a civic engine. It stores grain, employs artisans, coordinates festivals that glue communities, trains scribes who keep contracts straight, and stabilizes trade by anchoring schedules to skies and flood. It is a technology for reducing uncertainty. And that might be the deepest secret. The temple's greatest invention isn't a device. It's reliability. A city that can predict light, water, time, and sound can predict itself. Confidence is infrastructure. So when someone whispers about hidden electricity or forgotten machines, You don't need to roll your eyes. Look closer. The real tech is everywhere. In a door pivot that saves a shoulder, in a pigment that refuses to fade, in a calendar that keeps farmers and festivals in step. If this changed how you see ancient engineering, you're exactly the kind of curious mind we built this channel for. Welcome aboard, and bring a friend who still thinks temples are just big rocks. Like the sun that keeps finding that same corridor of stone, we'll keep returning to places where patient design turns belief into daily life. Thanks for watching, like, share, and I'll see you in the next story.